Let's go to a slightly more challenging question from Hassan in Slough. Hassan, hi, what would you like to ask?
Hi, Iain. Hi, Rachel. It was a delight to speak with Keir Starmer and Angela Rayner when they presented on LBC. Just to be transparent, I'm a lifelong Tory since 1992, and I did vote for Rishi Sunak last July. Now, yourself and Keir Starmer, you always criticise Sunak and Jeremy Hunt and how they're handling the economy. So my question to you then is, what alternative would you propose? Because I haven't heard anything from Labour. Now, just now, you did actually talk about closing the tax loopholes and green energy. That's fine. But I'm talking about the big picture where you're turning the economy around and growing it.
Well, thanks very much for your question, Hassan. I think that there are huge possibilities in the UK economy. We could be global leaders in some of the industries of the future, from green technologies to life sciences to our great cultural industries. And yet we're not seizing those opportunities. I guess that's what frustrates me the most, the gap between our potential and where we are today.
But we are in fintech, for example. We are world leaders.
But if you look at the numbers last week, the world was upgraded, the UK was downgraded. I don't want to be lagging against our competitors around the world. And that's why we've put forward our Green Prosperity Plan, our reforms to business rates, our plans to make Britain the best place to start and grow a business, because I'm hugely ambitious for the UK. And I know you've got to have growth if you want to do anything else, whether it is lifting living standards or having the money for our schools and our hospitals and our police. Now, look, I put forward loads of specifics. Our Green Prosperity Plan, for example, our reforms to business rates, but also our plans for this April, because at the moment, if the government do nothing, in less than 2 months' time, people's energy bills are going to go up by a further £500. That is not right. When we saw the results last week from Shell, £32 billion profit last year, the highest profit in its 115-year history.
That's worldwide profit.
Yes, and more than £3 billion of that profit was made in the UK, and yet they only paid £170 million worth of tax in the UK. They are making windfalls on the back of a war, and they should be paying more tax, and we should use that money. Well, we think that we could raise another £13 billion through the windfall tax, and we would use that money to freeze bills from April rather than see them go up by £500. Some money targeted towards businesses, because we know that small businesses and the most energy-intensive industries are struggling. And we also want to close that gap between people who are on prepayment meters, who are actually paying more for their energy, despite the fact often being the poorest in society. And we would ensure that there was one rate rather than one for those on prepayment meters and another for everyone else. Those are just some of the changes that Labour would make to address the immediate challenges, but also to grow our economy and end this sort of sticking plaster approach where we lurch from crisis to crisis, coming up with a fix, but not having the real plans to grow our economy or boost our own energy security.
Can I just follow up on the prepayment meters? Because I think everyone was rather shocked at the scandal last week, including, it seems, various government ministers and indeed the regulator, Ofgem. Now, Grant Shapps today said that the Ofgem had been asleep on the job, which I think was probably putting it kindly. Isn't it time to scrap Ofgem and start again? Because they have proved to be remarkably incompetent, not just on this, but on many other things too.
And it's time to scrap the government and start again, frankly, Iain, because...
Well, you can do that in a general election, but the government could actually say, no, this regulator isn't working, let's abolish it and bring in a new one.
Well, we've said, for example, that there should be a moratorium, and we've been saying this for ages, on the forced installation of prepayment meters. I knew about this as a constituency MP. A local charity in Leeds came to me and told me about these issues, and I've raised them. And... you know, the government apparently had no idea that this was going on. The regulator, as you say, Iain, had no idea it was going on. You know, if they don't want to do their job, they should give way to somebody who actually wants to.
But the companies themselves say they didn't know that it was going on, which I have to say don't believe.
I don't believe it either, Iain. The idea that a journalist can sort of rock up for a couple of weeks and uncover all this sort of stuff, and the executive and the quality assurance people and all the people that these big energy companies employ had no idea what was going on. I mean, it does beggar
it really
belief.
does.
But so there's two things that are needed. The forced imposition of the meters must end, but also it isn't right that if you're on a prepayment meter, often through no choice of your own, you shouldn't be paying more for your gas and electricity than, for example, you or me do. It can't be right that the poorest are paying some of the highest prices. That should end.
Right, Hassan, thank you. Let's go to Khaled in Wimbledon. Hello, Khaled.